Lakeside Dental Clinic, Go Island, is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic.
Today, it's all about alternative power, in particular, solar energy. Free play, hundreds of questions, and a mess means learning. An inside look at BC's tech industry and life-changing support from the Nanaimo CDC. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is Derrick Grimmer. He is a solid-state physicist, and that is directly connected to solar power. That's what we're talking about today on Go. He's spent more than 39 years in the solar power field. We're going to get into the magic of all of that a little bit later on this edition of Go. But first, school is on the minds of parents across the province. When will our kids be back in the classroom? How is their education being impacted? And for the older students, what does it mean for graduation or trying to get into universities across the country? On the other end of the spectrum, for children who should be starting kindergarten this year, it might be a bit of a relief for parents to know that what they're doing in their free time, exploration, being curious, using their imaginations, is exactly what they need to be doing at this stage in life. Here's Derek Johnstone. An absolutely fabulous resource. Let's hope our children get back into those classrooms soon. Derrick Grimmer has been in the field of solar energy, solar power, your entire career.
Yes.
What was it like when you started in the early 1970s? Where were we at with the technology?
Well, in the 70s, it was more in the solar thermal field because the photovoltaic aspects had really not gotten into the terrestrial end until like the late 70s.
Okay. Do most people understand what you're talking about with the language that you're using right now?
Well,
do you think?
Well, solar thermal means like hot water heaters, active solar collectors on houses that convert like a liquid. It picks up heat from the sun and the liquid is transported. Passive solar design like in houses, like greenhouses and whatnot.
Okay.
That's all thermal. Photovoltaics are solar cells, use the energy of the sun to directly create electricity. This is a crystalline technology, which is by far the dominant technology, both principally for house power, like on this place here.
And we're going to take a closer look at what you've got going on in your house here later.
These are the original cells, like from NASA when they were powering space satellites, and still are. They can be quite high efficient, up and around 25%. The ones you have for homes are typically in the area of 12 to 15% efficient.
Okay, so what's the difference between these two, say?
This is amorphous silicon on glass, which is the common type of cell you see in your little pocket calculators. That was the first big impact, was a great application of them. This is a 60-watt module that produces power. These two together are 80 watts. This is another kind of amorphous silicon technology that's made on a flexible web. It's very lightweight and indestructible and used by the military and by people who value lightweight and portability more than anything.
Now down at the end, and I've seen these on the sides of sailboats and things, or you'd put them on a kayak, or if you need some remote power for a shoot, for a camera. This is the type of technology that we're looking at?
Well, this is a rollable, as you've seen. This will roll up into a thing and fit into a thing like this.
Right.
It comes in a thing like that.
And how much power would you get out of this?
That's a 20 watt.
And what would that power for people who are?
Oh gosh, that'll charge a laptop easily. That'll charge us like cell phones or satellite phones or things like that. That's
so you sort of you charge it fully on the sun. You plug it into your laptop or your cell phone. You get a full charge for however many hours that might last.
Right.
And then you do it again.
Right. You just keep using the device to recharge whatever your application is. Right.
Okay. Is this taking off? Are the general public, general consumers, average person out there embracing this technology? Solar technology, any of it, all of it yet?
Solar is really growing worldwide. Yes, it's a very, very fast expanding market, very, very quickly.
Are we where we need to be as consumers, do you think?
I think we're to the point in certain places where they are definitely rethinking how they're going to use the grid. Because there's a problem when solar or any alternative resource becomes such a large portion of the grid that it begins to produce instabilities in the grid itself, and people with utilities are getting worried about it. Like in Hawaii, for example, they're forbidding more than 15% because after that, when the sun goes away or a cloud comes over, it causes problems and things can't quite track fast enough. So the big area of energy is storage and what they call micro utilities or microgrids, where like a community like Arrington or bigger would have its own storage base and be able to absorb the energy and give it out if there'd be a problem somewhere else. Because in China, I think it was last year, they've got a rather old grid, but they went down and 700 million people were without power for almost 2 weeks. So then
and chaos ensued.
Chaos ensued. So people around the world, that's the big buzz, is like microgrids, storage, let's move in that direction.
Okay. Now, one thing Derrick prides himself on here is walking the talk. That's evident in his house. We're going to take a look at that a bit later on. Time now for a short break. Still to come today, special needs for a special dog, the bits and bytes of BC's tech industry, and life-changing support from the Child Development Centre. The Regional District of Nanaimo is hosting a green building series that will culminate in a climate science symposium taking place at the Shaw Auditorium at the Vancouver Island Conference Centre on October the 18th. Now, offerings include a series of open houses, including this one, of course, the home of Lynn Brooks and Derrick Grimmer. We're going to have a closer look at what's going on in this particular roof later. And if you want more details, we encourage you to come out and participate in that green building series through the Regional District of Nanaimo. You can get more information on their homepage, www.rdn.bc.ca. Click under the link Community Events. The tour here takes place on September the 27th. We're going to be back and take a closer look. You're watching Go on Shaw TV Channel 4. Derrick Grimmer, what is going on here? I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like it, to be honest.
This is a photovoltaic system, or PV as it's known. It consists of a total of 83 modules on these two roofs, the workshop garage and the main house, and they produce typically 21 megawatt hours of energy a year. This whole system is almost 20 kilowatt peak. This is a larger system.
Right.
I think there's a larger commercial system, but this is a large one for residential for sure.
Now, people might think you have to give up design, and this is certainly a partnership with your wife.
Yes.
Dr. Lynn Brooks, and she's over there now and sitting on her reward for giving up her roof. How did you negotiate that?
Oh, there was no negotiation. I wanted the roof, she wanted that. That's good, that's cool. It's a done deal.
Talk to me about the slant. There's some schools of thought that it should be at a certain degree.
It actually works out that if you are using a grid connected system, which there are no batteries, this is tied into BC Hydro, that you don't really suffer by having more of a layback to the roof. Say your roof is 30 to 35 degrees off the horizontal. I chose 50 degrees, which is the latitude. That's the old rough rule of thumb for photovoltaics, in case at some point I do want to have battery storage to tie into the grid and to everything else.
And this saves you $2,300 a year?
Approximately.
Approximately.
Yes. It all depends. Let me put it this way. Before BC Hydro just raised their rates,
right,
the payback time on this was about 33 years. Now it's down to 30 years. As BC Hydro rates go up, the payback time decreases.
Okay.
If they double their rates, it'll cut that in half. But yeah, right now it's $2,300 a year.
Do you think that's a challenge in the general public's perception about investing the time, the knowledge, the money? Is that the payback just isn't worth it?
It's like this. Let's suppose you put $70,000 in a system like this, or you put $70,000 in a pickup truck with all the bells and whistles.
Right.
In 25 years with this will still be making probably 80%, maybe even more of its initial power. The truck will be worth zero, unless you put the equivalent amount of money into it to keep it up.
Now, we've had a fabulous summer. We're here with our sunglasses on. We're complaining about how hot it is, but we only really get sun like this 2-3 months of the year. That's not a problem. Some people might think that solar isn't a year-round option.
Well, when you're tied into the grid is your battery, so you're selling back to the grid. So it's on an annualized basis.
Right.
That's why the batteries would be a tougher goal, because in the winter, frankly, you don't get that much, but in the summer you get a lot.
39 years dedicated to one profession, solar energy.
Yes.
Why? What drives you? What is it? The money saving? Is it getting one off of the system? Is it the environmental?
Well, like I mentioned, I wanted to save the world, but the world doesn't want to be saved. So,
Are you hopeful? Are we going to save ourselves?
let's not get into the politics, please. We'll be here all day.
All day. We've done a very good job of condensing what is a very fluid industry. The prices of the panels themselves and the cells themselves aren't stable.
No.
How does that work?
Well, it's supply and demand. There was a really, really large glut after 2008 when we had the economic hardships worldwide. A lot of companies went out of business. Now things are coming back. China is now the dominating force in the photovoltaic industry. Germany is really down now as a force.
And so it's kind of like buy low. And is low now? Is now a good time to get into solar?
Now is as good a time as any. It's like I've mentioned, you make your choice when you decide to do it, and you jump in, and you can't look back and say, boy, I wish I would have waited, because maybe I could have done better now on modules, but I would have missed picking up 44 or so megawatt hours of power. So it's,
Excellent.
And in my case, well, I'm going to be dead in a few years.
I think you got a little while yet. We are just touching the tip of the iceberg here. If you'd like more information and to engage with Derrick and his wife Lynn in person, there is an open house here, part of the Green Building Series through the RDN that takes place on September the 27th. rdn.bc.ca, a link on the homepage for more details on that. There might be a registration process involved, so definitely look into that. We're going to switch gears now. 3-year-old Evelyn spent the first year of her life in BC Children's Hospital. She lives in Nanaimo now, and her family is very, very grateful for the services they've benefited from the Nanaimo Child Development Center. Here's Kelly Robinson. Shaw TV is thrilled to once again be partnering with the Nanaimo Child Development Center. It's the second annual Nanaimo CDC Telethon taking place at the Port Theatre Sunday, October the 5th. All benefits and proceeds going to the Child Development Center. If you want to participate, you can contact Stephen at nanaimocdc.com via email, or if telephone's your preferred method, 250-753-0251, extension 234. Solar power. Just a little bit of information from a huge wealth of knowledge shared with you today. Thanks for watching Go. We'll see you next time.
Lakeside Dental Clinic Go Island is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic, a division of the Vancouver Island Implant Center, delivering dental services, including dental implants and sedation dentistry, all under one roof. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.